All right. There he is, locked and loaded and ready to go. And keep that number, 954-966-4646. You may not need it now, but you might need it down the line. And Welt Rheaume will be there to represent you. How you feeling, my man? How you feeling?
Sir, pretty good. Just trying to keep this interesting as we go between these Raiders and Patriots games. These games that the Dolphins should be winning, and we'll see if it happens the same way this Sunday.
Well, I mean, the way they keep it interesting is by continuing to win. That's all. I mean, that's the only way, because obviously I think the season's done. But if you're going to, all of a sudden prove a guy like me wrong, well, you need to start running the table. And in order to make the Green Bay game matter, you got to beat these kind of teams right now, because those games won't matter if you're losing to these teams that you're supposed to beat. Although, while I expect you to beat the Patriots, I think this is going to be like one of those ugly wins, to be quite honest, because that's kind of what the Patriots do. They find a way to muck it all up every single time, and that's what they've been doing so far this year.
Yeah, you have one standard of when the Dolphins are out of it, whereas you have been saying it for weeks now. And then one more loss would kind of put me across that threshold. So if the Dolphins were to have lost that Raiders game, or if they lose this week, then yes, I'm going into Thanksgiving saying, yeah, now the season really is over. But they keep themselves alive by first winning that Monday night game, and then winning these games they should, and then you go into Green Bay making that game matter a little bit. So, but you're right. I would see it as an ugly one. It's a divisional AFC East rivalry type of. I mean, you know what you get when you face the Patriots. Even though it's been Bill Belichick all those years, I think now Gerard Mayo would take a similar approach, and this is actually Tua's first shot at Mayo after having so much success against Belichick, at least winning. Maybe the numbers weren't always there, but 6-0 record in his games against the Patriots. So see if that continues.
Yeah, 6-0 is 6-0, bro. Doesn't matter what it is. Obviously, you're winning with different coaches, different schemes, different players, and you're 6-0. So yeah, that's all that really matters. Now, question for you, because while McDaniel does deserve praise for adjusting to how they're playing right now, the question I really have is, has he just adjusted, or did he change his ways? Because if you get back to being pass happy again, will he get back to that and abandon the run like he's done his first 2+ years? Or does he understand how important the balance is in order to make everybody better around him? His quarterback, his tight end, his offensive line, not just his wide receivers, because obviously the wide receivers benefit when you're playing that all-out offense and you have those opportunities. But now that you don't, you've adjusted to what they're doing to you. Do you think he's morphed into being more like what we see from San Fran and the Shanahan tree, where you do run, where you do use the tight end a lot besides the passing game? Because he really didn't resemble the tree he came from the first couple of years. So is this a real change, or is this just a current adjustment?
I think there's a constant evolution that has to take place for Mike McDaniel, and we probably are seeing it right now. And he has said it going into this, how he relates it to basketball often sometimes, and he had a quote about the way you split or the way that you defeat the double team isn't by trying to split it all the time. It's by passing out of that double team in basketball, getting an assist, and then now defenses will go and play you honest. So I think that's how they're approaching this current stretch of games, where the two high safeties and everything that teams do out of those looks and bracketing Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, that's now what you have to keep defenses from being honest with. And then eventually, as you just keep death by 1,000 paper cuts, running the ball, getting the ball to Jonnu Smith, throwing it to Devon Achane, everything else, and distributing to all these other playmakers, then eventually they'll start to play you honest, and that's how you can open things back up for Tyreek and Jalen Waddle instead of always trying to force it to them.
Yeah, no, I hope that that's the case. I hope that that they're able to keep this going, not just out of pure necessity. I hope it becomes something that becomes like a part of your DNA. The only thing is, I do want to see more Jalen Wright because I've told you already, I do worry about wearing out.
Yeah, of course. No, and just to stick with the previous point, that's why you did all these things in the offseason and acquire a tight end like John Smith and bring in Odell Beckham to hope that he could be your wide receiver 3 that who's starting to come along a little bit in recent weeks. You didn't see it to start the year, and then he needed to get his feet under him a little bit once he did get in there. Having Achane catch the ball out of the backfield more and be even a lineup at wide receiver and catch the ball in that way. All these things that you did in the offseason, this is why you did those things, so that you have these other options when you can't go to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle all the time and teams are trying to take them away. So, but yeah, and I'm actually writing about how Achane is taking on this career workload for him. And obviously, yeah, it's his second year, so he's doing more than he did in his rookie year. But if Jalen Wright could get incorporated a little bit more, even if, hey, Raheem Mostert, we haven't seen him get the touches. We know he had the fumble issues, and he told me how he and Mike McDaniel had a good talk this week about exactly that and him seeing the diminished role on offense. But yeah, if you can spread the carries out a little bit more, that could be good on Achane. But so far, so good with how Achane has handled it. As he's already surpassed last year's carry total, and he could be in line to double last year's receptions total this next game.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let me ask you, what did you think of the coaches? Because it kind of gave me. He's not going to diss anybody publicly ever, and when you find a change, it happens, and then you have to then react after, whether it's Walker or whatever that you notice. Oh, wait a minute, hold on, Mostert's not getting carries. Oh, Walker is taking over for Long. All these kind of things. What did you think of his explanation for Poyer? Because you can say all you want, Poyer's been terrible, dude. Terrible. He looks old. He looks like he's constantly out of place. He tried to spin it, but you guys asked it. Did you buy any of it?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the tape doesn't lie, right? We watch Jordan Poyer, and he struggles in coverage. He's a step slow now than what we've probably
Terrible.
seen. In past years, facing him against the Buffalo Bills and against defenses that were so effective against the Dolphins so many years. So he doesn't seem like the same player that we had seen previously, and getting caught up in coverage. There was a lot of space when he was covering Bowers and going to the outside, and then gets tangled up with Cater Kohu. There's a lot of space to work around him and didn't. And then there was also the missed tackle. I think you're seeing his slow step sort of in a lot of the angles that he's taking. He's maybe like taking an approach like the way he was used to from previous times when he used to take a certain angle and get to a guy. And then all of a sudden now he's realizing he takes that same angle and a guy's going past him. And now he's resorting to arm tackles, like diving at a player instead of when he used to take that angle and go chest to chest with him. So, yeah, I think we're seeing a player that is struggling to make the adjustment as he gets older and a step slower. And there's still something between Mike McDaniel. Also, Anthony Weaver today spoke about it and sort of stamped that Poyer will continue to be the starter there. So they must like a lot of what he's doing behind the scenes, and but just on the field, we're not seeing it, and it feels like
that or you have no faith in May or Elijah Campbell or any of that.
Yeah.
And I would give Campbell a chance, bro. I think he's earned an opportunity. He's been here a couple of years, and I know it's training camp and practice, but he has a tendency of making some plays. And I just don't know why it hasn't translated to an opportunity. So if you want to keep May in that position as the third guy because he plays both spots, okay, do that, or elevate May and give him an opportunity. But if not, give Elijah Campbell a chance, man. I mean, the kid's been here for a while, although maybe Weaver feels he doesn't fit his scheme. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Campbell has been here since before, but everything we've heard him say about that we've heard Weaver say about Campbell, at least he's just spoke glowingly about him. So It seems like he is high on him based on what he says, but it still hasn't led to an elevation into a starting role at all.
Who is it? I know, again, the coach is not going to diss anybody, but it clearly looks like Storm Duck has been a nice find for them, and he's going to go in front of Cam Smith for the Kendall Fuller spot this week, right? I mean, I know the coach didn't want to say, oh, well, it all depends on the matchups. He tried to downplay it a little bit, but it's Storm Duck, right?
I would feel that way. When you see him, you see Storm Duck. He has been serviceable whenever he's been inserted as a third cornerback. Can play nickel, can play on the outside. Kohu comes in. So I like his versatility that he's shown playing both spots. And it seems like whenever Cam Smith is in the game, then the teams are targeting him and drawing pass interference penalties, the whole nine. So the Dolphins have gotten better play out of their 2024 undrafted rookie Storm Duck than the 2023 second-round pick, Cam Smith. So I would see that as the way to maybe continue to see whatever matchups the Dolphins were looking at, continue going toward that matchup of playing Cam Smith, or sorry, a Storm Duck over Cam Smith.
What's your thoughts of Drake May?
He's intriguing. It'll be the first time the Dolphins see him, first time I see him as far as covering a game. So a guy who can make more plays than obviously what we saw Jacoby Brissett the first time the Dolphins faced the Patriots. So he'll be a little more dynamic and make some plays off schedule. So that could be fun to watch and see how the Dolphins pass rushers look to contain that aspect of him, his mobility as well. But also a player who can be where you can force a turnover on him as a rookie. So Jacoby Brissett only had one interception entering that game, and then the Dolphins couldn't turn the ball over against him, made it for more of a slow game as both teams kind of stuck with the run. So I would expect the Patriots let May go ahead and try to make some more plays, and then there's also going to be opportunities to turn him over.
I got to ask, Richmond Webb making it to the final, what is it, 25, right? I think it is.
25 now. Mm-hmm.
Any shot, bro? Because, man, he deserves to go. I covered him. I watched his entire career, but he's so quiet. The team never really had great success. They had a little bit of success in the early 90s, but those Buffalo teams were just the teams in those days. And so I know that's the one thing that always hurts those kind of guys also, that the team success wasn't good. Plus, he's so quiet that he doesn't toot his own horn. He will never do that. I'm just a big Richmond Webb fan, dude, because he was a reporter's dream. He treated everything with class. If it was a 50-point win or a 50-point loss or a 1-point win or a 1-point loss, you got the same guy every single time. And you know that's not how it goes, dude. People are very moody, especially if they lose a couple times and they get pissy and all that. Never happened with him. He always, you treated him with class because he always treated you with class. I'm a huge Richmond Webb fan, bro.
That's great. And obviously I never covered him because he was before my time, but even now being 4 years into being on the Dolphins beat and, knowing about him from like childhood and, he was, I would have been kind of like too young when he was in his prime as far as like really watching him, but just knowing about him and then now covering the team and being close to the team, just knowing Richmond Webb. And I certainly get that impression of him, of exactly what you're saying, how you describe him. I mean, he
salt of the earth, bro. Salt of the earth.
He wouldn't have to owe me anything, but then like the day that I got that follow or like he followed me, I was like, oh, that's cool. Like Richmond Webb, followed me back, whatever. And I know he follows a lot of fans too and interacts with fans on social media. Awesome. So yeah, I definitely get that impression from him and, a guy that you root for and you hope for. But now it is just honestly an uphill climb probably because it's a very talented list again, and so many guys from around the nation, around the league, that probably some of these guys are shoo-ins. Some of them have been waiting around a bit like him, and kind of have been more in like the finalists, like really on the verge, and have been waiting. So it's going to be tough to really crack that Hall of Fame nomination and induction, but just cool. However many steps you can see him advance, that's always good to see.
Let's hope so, man. Let's hope so. So let me ask you something. How you feeling about Bitcoin now?
Oh man, what is it at now?
98,000.
Oh, it's
There's
about
True
to hit
Fin
100.
Fan in the house. True Fin Fan is in the house. 98,000. What do you think? Huh?
That is stellar. I'm regretting it every day that I didn't get it.
We got to 98,945. Almost 99. We're at 98,229 right now. So I'm just wondering how you feeling about that, about the coin.
Yeah, like regret that I haven't gotten in is what I'm feeling.
It's
You're
not
killing
so
it
bad.
over there.
It's headed to 200,000 and $1 million, so you're still not too late. Okay, just want you to know you're still not too late.
Yeah, I don't like to buy when you see such an upswing. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe next time.
I know. It's the same thing you said at 50, and at 60, and at 70, and at 80, and before you know it, it'll be at 160, and before you know it, it'll be at 180, and before you know it, it'll be at 250, and you're gonna go, wait a minute, I should have gotten in at 90. I should have gotten in at 100. It wouldn't have been so bad. Just saying. Just saying, it's interesting. All right, what do you got going on the Sentinel so folks can check you out?
Yeah, writing about the Jordan Poyer decision Dolphins are making, and to stick with him, and then Devon Achane, his big workload, how he's handling it, which is actually extraordinarily well. I mean, no injury issues after he did have an IR stint last year, but yeah, I mean, hopefully it stays that way, but yeah, that maybe some splitting of the workload could also benefit him there as well.
Follow him on Twitter at David Furones _, and you can catch him again on Sunday post-game as we hopefully talk about a victory for the Miami Dolphins. As always, David, thank you, sir. Have a fantastic weekend. We'll talk on Sunday.
Sounds good.
You got it. Welt Rheaume, 954-966-4646. Condo damage, homeowner property damage, bankruptcy. Unfortunately, folks are calling for bankruptcy. Business owner claims, commercial litigation, personal injuries. Call our friends at Welt Rheaume.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.